Hey,
Hi, hi,
Rustam.
hi. I'm so sorry. I was getting a little. Anyways, I'm so happy that I'm finally back on spot. How are you, Sergi? All good?
Yes, so everyone is waiting here to understand how being fearless is. So before we start ahead, let me just give a brief about this champion. Few words cannot describe him. Rustam actually started at his very young age of 6 years in 1985. He was also known for his being the youngest driver in India and second youngest in the world. Many brands endorsed him, and he was also the brand ambassador for Britannia Glucose biscuits. He was 8-time national champion, 3 times international champion for Team India, and the list doesn't stop here. He is right now the brand ambassador for Castrol Power One, and nonetheless, he is also from last 8 years driving for Team KTM and also being their factory driver. So that's the champ. A big round of applause for Rustam. Yeah, welcome to the show, Rustam.
Thank you so much. It's really nice, first of all, to see you after a very long time. We used to always catch up in all the KTM awesome events that you and your team used to organize, and
Yes.
I'm really excited over here. And of course, after our talk, we are going to give the everybody a chance to voice out their opinion and ask us their questions. We'll be happy to answer them. And yes, please go ahead with your question. I would love to answer you.
Wonderful. I think we have a lot of people who have joined in here, and so Rustam, how did you started your journey? Can you just give all the viewers some basic idea? How did you started as a young kid, and how your journey till here being a champion all these years?
Thank you very much for the question. And before I start with my answer, I would like to say you are my motivation. I love your conversation or complete body that you have made. And the last event that we met in KTM, I was like, what is this, Eddie, sir? And I was like, wow. So you are a big
Thank you.
inspiration when it comes to physical fitness and all. Thank you very much. I hope everybody learns from you. And
Thank you.
yes, I would like to say that I was very lucky that I was born in the very famous Patel racing family, and very fortunate to be born in that family. So since I was born, I have seen my dad, my kaka, my brothers, my cousins, like everybody is a motorcycle racer. So as they say,
Oh,
डॉक्टर के घर पे डॉक्टर पैदा होता है, engineer के घर पे engineer पैदा होता है. So rider के घर
but,
पे rider पैदा होता है. So the legacy of the family goes on. So uh, I was only 6 years of age, and one day I come from school, and all my cousins are standing in a line with my dad and kaka with something hidden in a small parking cover. So they said, please open the cover. And once I opened the cover, what do I see? There was a small little racing bike, Dandy 39cc, made in Japan. And they said
okay.
that this bike is for you, Rustam. You have to start racing now with us. And I
Wow.
was like so happy. I was like, wow. I was with my school bag and my uniform. I jumped onto the bike, kissed the bike. My elder cousin Kaizad taught me this is the throttle, this is the brakes. It was an automatic bike. So
Mhm.
he taught me how to ride it. I got it very quick. And my first race was in Brabourne Stadium, where India plays international cricket now. For your kind
Mhm.
information, sports lovers, let me tell you one thing, that we guys have actually raced motocross in the Brabourne Stadium back in the
Wow.
1985.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, so it's a great pleasure to be a part of the Patel family. And the mayor of Bombay, Mr. Jangu Nicholson, had picked me up and he had awarded me the prize for the youngest rider in India and second youngest in the world to do motocross at that age.
Wow, that's really amazing and inspirational story to understand. So
Thank you.
so primarily you came into the family of racers, so that's how racing automatically became a passion and started flowing in the blood and all. that is all fine. But a young kid, just imagine a young kid of like 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years primarily, sitting on a motorbike and throttling. Oh my God, it is very difficult to experience by a young chap to at that age. So would want to understand what kind of the fears used to hover your mind, how you actually overcome at that small stage. I mean, what was the strength in the mind behind the entire thing?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I will be very honest with you over here. Is that when you're born in a fearless family, that is the Patel fearless family, where all your brothers are champions and national champions, you automatically develop the no fear factor into you. And obviously, when you're just 6 years old, you're just a teeny kid. So I still remember every single time when I used to go on a jump, all I could see is the sky. So I used to go up looking at the sky, and I could only see the ground when I used to come on the down ramp. So I have the first time when I did it, I was like, oh my God, like, where am I going? Like, I could only see the sky. But then once I did that, I don't know, I was naturally strong about it. And at the same time, I was very confident about how it should be. So my parents were always there. My family was always there to overcome my fears. Yes, of course, I had a couple of falls over there. But my dad used to quickly run. Since I was a kid, parents were allowed to come on track. And he used to pick me up on the bike. I still remember I had tears in my eyes also. I was just a kid. I was like, Daddy, lagi you. And he's like, hey, bike for best. Bike for best. You know, fathers are. You know, fathers are crazy. And I used to, you know, back in those days, we were not very lucky to have Alpine Star and Fox and all these. So we used to wear leather gloves and leather mochika shoes and football gloves and all of that. So I had a very loose helmet. I still remember my first race of my life. So every time I used to take a jump, the helmet used to come in front of my eyes. So I used to pull it up. So these are all the memories. And at the same time, I had 3 falls in my first race. I still remember. And I still got up and I still sat on the bike in the first very race at the age of 6. I think that itself was overcoming my fear at that very tender age of 6. Like, I hardly know kids who ride cycles at 6. So it was like, wow, it was overcoming the fear. After falling 3 times, getting back on the bike, completing the race. I think I finished 7th out of 11 guys in my first race of my life. Yeah. So it was a very proud moment. And from there was no stopping. Then we went all over the country: Bangalore, Jaipur, Udaipur, Baroda, Pune, everywhere. And the fears were always overcome. Especially, I would like to tell you about overcoming fear. There was a motocross race in Madras, Chennai, which is called now, where I was leading the race. Ishan Lokhande was running second from Pune. And on the last lap, we were overlapping a guy, and that guy was not taking the double jump. So we were the guys who were taking 2 jumps in one shot. So what was the problem was, on the last lap, that guy was between 2 double jumps. So I went to save his life, and I did not take the double, and Ishan took the double. He landed on my hand.
Oh my God.
From 30 feet. From 30 feet. He landed on my hand. Yes. He fell 360 the other side. I fell 180 the other side. And since it was just a half lap to go, the heat of the moment and the overcoming of the fear was so much over there to win the race that we both did not care about the injuries. And luckily, I was riding a 2-stroke Suzuki RM 125. So my bike started in 1 kick. And I went off. Ishan's bike was a 4-stroke. It didn't start. So somehow I managed to finish the race. After the race, there was a black curtain in front of my eyes, and I don't know where I was. My finger was cracked in 6 pieces. Till date, I can't bend this finger. It was in 6 pieces. So when I opened my eyes, I was in a cold ICU room getting operated myself with rods in my finger. And in the next 25 days was the last round of the national championship of Gulf Dirt Track, where I was leading the national championship. Now imagine you have broken your finger in 6 pieces. You have the last round of the national championship in 25 days. What do? You have to overcome the fear. So for 5 days,
Absolutely.
I was in Chennai with my operation and my rods uprooting from my flesh, and I could not move this finger. So you cannot brake if you don't have this finger, and neither can you hold the throttle because this finger is straight. So I come back to Bombay. I talked to my doctor. I said, I have to meet you. I have to remove some rods because I have a race in the next 25 days. So I go to my doctor and I tell my doctor, he took an X-ray. He said, Rustam, 3 months, forget racing. No chance, doctor. You please remove it. He's like, are you mad? It is very fresh. You cannot remove the rods. I said, I don't care. You please remove the rods. He made me sign, my parents sign on a declaration form that if something goes wrong, you are responsible because you are a crazy mad bawa who does not understand that it takes 3 months for it to heal.
Yes,
Exactly 1 day before the race, I still remember Gulf Dirt Track National Championship was in Raipur. I went to the hospital. I got myself operated. I got the rods out. I did temporary dressing. Took a flight that same evening. Flew with my father.
Wow.
Went to Raipur with a broken finger. 5 races, all 5 first places. All 5 first.
Whoa, wonderful, wonderful. So that's how the making of the champion was.
Yes.
So the as the age was passing, so in times when you were like 10, 12, you've done your 10th boards and you've crossed your 12th. By this time, how was your career shaping up in terms of getting more into racing? How did you cope up with your studies and other family affairs when you were racing?
Well, honestly speaking, I was first in St. Peter's ICSE. And I was already a 6-year-old famous guy, glucose D biscuit, ads, fudgy, lichard, papad, band-aid. So I had done like 7, 8 ads already. So people in my school already knew me. Now a good question is, yes, my studies were affected because I was mostly on track practicing and I was shooting after shooting. So then boss, when does a rider study? So my parents took a unanimous decision. They said you cannot cope up with ICSE. So in 5th standard, they made me leave St. Peter's and they made me join St. Mary's because St. Mary's was SSC school and a little lenient school towards sports quota. So I shifted to SSC because I just could not cope up with the ICSE studies with racing and shooting. So yeah, I had to manage everything at a very, very young age, you see. Like I was only 8, 9, 10 years old when I was doing all of this. So yeah, it was difficult, but yes, it was managed.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. It's good to hear such heroic journey you had over the past few years. And how do you, in today's present time, how do you deal with fears apart from racing in real life? How do you deal with fears which comes to you on a daily basis or on some times when you are into tough situations?
Well, whenever I'm into tough situations, first of all, I do my prayers. My prayers are very important. I lost my father in 2013, and till date, I don't feel that my father is not there with me. He is still there right now, and I know my dad is sitting right besides me. So I do my prayers to my dad, to my father, and before any fear, that is very important to be very positive. You cannot be negative. You cannot be dull. You have to fight it out. Till you don't have that fighting spirit in you, you cannot overcome your fears. You have to be brave. You have to be bold. And you have to say that, yes, I am going to come out of it rather than just cribbing over it. Ki, "Arey bhaiya, mere saath to ye ho gaya, abhi aisa ho gaya." And this is the last thing that you're supposed to do. Take it in a wise way. Take a good decision. You're a matured person. You can overcome your fears only if you are internally strong. If you are not internally strong, Nobody can help you, my friend. You have to be internally
Wonderful.
strong. As the example I gave you, which man in the wisest world would tell a doctor to remove his rods in 20 days of his accident when it takes 3 months? So it
True,
was
true.
myself, it was my decision. I was fearless. I was hungry to be champion of India. I didn't care if I lost my finger also, because there were chances they would have imputed my finger. I didn't
True.
care about all that. I said, boss, I want to be champion. I will do anything for that. And I did it.
Wonderful.
God was with me and won every single
Wonderful.
race. So that is the real
Wonderful.
secret. You have to be strong from within. Talk to yourself, motivate yourself that yes, I am the best. I can do it. This is what I do.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, Rustam. It's good to hear the story behind being fearless, because everyone these days grow up with so many challenges, with so many fears coming up, cropping up in day-to-day situations, and at times it actually becomes very difficult to sail through those tough situations because fear used to overcome, and we tend to pick up the easiest way out. So, listening to your story, it sounds like that you never chosen a way which is easy, or you never tried to escape a situation. You always had a head on with the fear kind of a situation. It is really inspiring, Rustam, to know. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored.
Wonderful. So for people who have joined, who knows Rustam, they would also be wondering, about me, how I started my journey, how things happened with me.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you, as you are the winner of the Raid the Himalaya, and Raid the Himalaya is the second toughest rally in the world after the Paris Dakar. So
Yeah.
I would really love to know something about you, Mr. Eddie. Let's go for it. Can you please share
Oh,
your experience?
thank you, thank you. See, a passion for racing was never in the blood. I was not born with that DNA where racing was something which was inculcated. In fact, the middle kind family I belonged to at that point in time was always into pushing towards studies and towards going towards higher levels of career. So racing was nowhere in scenario. How life progressed and I became an entrepreneur. In 2010 is the time when there is some kind of a soul craving which started what to do, and I was not at all a good driver. The moment I used to hit the hills, I used to puke. And I could not, I could not take like 5 kilometers round on the hills, and I used to puke. I was like, "Mere bas ka nahi hai all this." But I do not know, something have changed. This entire situation turned out to be such that I started, enjoying driving at around 2010, 2012. Started going out for trips, started traveling. I don't know how things happened, how situation happened. One fine evening, I was sitting at my home and thinking what to do next in life. Business is there. A couple of projects are running. Things are okay, but there has to be something which engrosses me. There has to be some passion which keeps you ticking at that age. So I was sitting with my wife. We were like as chatting and all. Suddenly, this thing came. We were just going through some Facebook things, and there is suddenly a car which was zipping in that video, and it just inspired me. Wow. And my wife says, "Why don't you try racing?" I said, "Babe, I have never gone into the limits of racing. I have never understood that entire thing." So she said, "Just start." So from there, this journey started, and you will not believe, in 5 to 7 days, I bought a new gypsy from the factory, got it made and with roll cage and everything. And in 2 months' time, I was on a rally called Desert Storm, which is like
Wow.
India's biggest rally, right?
Yes.
Without knowing the consequences, without even understanding what rally means, all I could know is, all I have to do is just to drive, right? And I am good into driving. I can drive, and there are no much hills there. I can still drive. So that is how I took that gypsy, went into the adventure category. While I was driving on the dunes, so my friends who were like also driving along with me, they used to tell, "You drive too fast, man, in the sand also." And adventure and TSD is all about time, distance, and speed. So
Yeah.
before I could see the time checker there, I used to cross. So that's how I started into desert. And one sunny afternoon, I think the day third or fourth, we were about to cross Bikaner, and there where I got stuck into the sands. And the journey begins from there. Revving, rushing, figuring out with the wires and things like that. Somehow in like 15-20 minutes, I could see flames coming out of the engine,
My God.
and the car is burning. The new Gypsy is burning, standing in the middle of desert, can't even seek help. Finally, in probably another hour's time, there was a sweep car which was coming to see how the participant have passed in. So they somehow helped me to cross, say, 3-4 kilometers. Again, they said, sir, you have to manage from here. So I hired a bullock cart who pulled me out to the main roads. From there, it was in Bikaner. So we went from shop to shop. It was around 5 or 6:30 in the evening to get the car repaired now. Now the zeal was that I have to complete. I cannot win, but at least I have to compete. So in the night, we got that entire wiring changed and reached to the next destination. And that's how my first rally actually finished, where I was wanting ki at least DNF nahi ho. At least you finished your first rally.
Very
From
important.
there on, that spirit started to learn this, to understand what machine is, what mechanism is, how this machine performs. So then I went all the way to Australia. I had my PR for Australia. So I went all the way to Australia, learn all sorts of driving, racing there, whether it's been a track race or a drag race or whatever kind of knowledge I could gather. I gathered that knowledge, came back to India, and then I competed for Rate the Himalaya. So that journey, which is like Rate the Himalaya itself, it is not a race. It is basically an endurance to a man and a machine. So if you are not wise, if you're not understanding the game, you either will break the car or you will push off from a cliff and go down 20,000 feet, or you will end up, having bruises or end up getting hurt. So this is how that entire thing framed me more stronger. We've gone to areas where the temperature was minus 30 degree, and people are bleeding in the morning. There is no oxygen. It was the world's highest pass pang. So there you have to drive. You have to put snow chains onto your tires, and then you have to drive. So on the day fourth of the rally, right, I was leading the rally. Gaurav Gill was Gaurav Gill was SUV 500, Sanjay Rajdan at the third or the fourth thing. So I was leading the rally, and I was like in a different path altogether. I do not know what happened. I think middle of the circuit, my navigator gave me a wrong signal. We took a flight onto the right and got and stuck to a boulder. Now my Gypsy is like this, lying onto a stone like this.
Oh my.
And I could see cars zipping right in front of me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the 28 cars zipped right in front of my eyes. In like 1 hour's time, it took me 1 hour to get out from that entire stone thing and came back to the track, and I started back. So by the time I reached, I was the last contestant on day 4 from day 1, from position 1. So the next day race started. I again overtook almost 24 cars in one complete circuit. 20. I was on a fire mission. Doesn't happen. All I could lose was my first position. Now there was no fear. Now it was you go bang on kinds. When you are in doubt, you go flat out. This used to be the mantra driving at that time. So I crossed 24 cars in a span of around 4 to 6 hours of like 3-4 legs. And on the last day, I was standing at number 4 position. Now I had only 3 more cars to cross. Right. So that's how my journey for Rate the Himalaya ended. And I came back as a winner in one single piece, one single car without broken pieces.
Wow.
So that journey made me understand what fear is. So if you understand, fear is basically an unpleasant feeling, which is triggered by a perception of danger, either in real or imaginary, because our mind doesn't understand the difference between real and imaginary situations. For it is just a picture. So I understood fear that it is basically triggered by the perception of danger in real or in imaginary situation. So if we leave the consequences of the fear and understand, so fear is basically in two types. One is your physical fear and one is your psychological fear, right?
Correct.
So to overcome your physical fear, all you can do is you can plan. You can have learnings in place. You can add on more knowledge to overcome that fear. You can have more understanding to overcome that fear. Like you are a biker. So while you were overcoming your fears, you planned, you learned, you added more knowledge to your driving. Your coaches might have worked very strongly on certain steps. So the moment you overcome that physical boundary of fear, now you are only left with this boundary which
Yes.
can control you, either can let you win or can let you the situation. So I see fear as in two parts. One is the physical and second is the psychological. Physical fears one can overcome with knowledge, learning and experience. Psychologically, you have to work within your mind, because your mind doesn't understand the reality or the fiction part of it. So you understand your mind, you work, you sit with those fears and understand what is you gonna lose, right?
Exactly.
So this is my understanding towards fear when it is physical and psychologically, like body wise and mind wise. When you overcome and sit with your fear, you are on a journey of being fearless. So that's how I understand fear in my perspective in last 40 years of my life, how fear has driven so much change as a person, as a human in me.
Wow, fantastic. It's really, really great to hear this, and especially your rally experience about your car being there. And I can completely understand how dirty you must have felt when those 24 cars were overtaking you. Like, I'm
Yes,
a rallyist
absolutely.
myself. I know how bad it feels, and especially
Yes,
when you're leading the rally and you know
yes,
it's like you can see the trophy right in front of your eyes,
yes, yes.
and one mistake and you see all your fellow mates crossing you. Bye bye, see you, Eddie.
And they were actually doing bye bye like this.
That's what rallying is all about. See,
Yes,
see, when you're
yeah,
racing, you are racing. Okay, that
yeah.
time no brother, no friend, everybody wants to win. After the race, you can sip a beer together, you can party together.
Absolutely.
That's a different thing.
I,
That is what.
I, I I still remember one leg, my left side tire was punctured. And in like no time, the entire tire was flat, and I could see a gypsy catching from the back. I did not wait it. We did not. We traveled for almost 27 kilometer on that flat tire in the mountains, because there is no time. You can't stop because the road, there is no concrete road. This is just stones. So you
Yeah.
can't even fix up a jack and change the tire. All you are left with, by the time I ended that circuit, but the rim of the jeep was absolutely crushing the ground, so there was
Wow.
no rubber left. So we were like tilted like this and reaching to the final thing. So these things when you experience, you understand that fear is only in mind. You
Yeah.
cannot imagine sitting in a four-wheeler that a car can actually be driven when it is punctured, when it is flat. I mean, we cannot even imagine. But in tough situations, your mind is an amazing machine. It gives you all wonderful ideas to conquer that fear. So
Exactly.
this, this is how the
Exactly.
journey is.
And these are such experience of life that you can never forget it, even when you're 80 years old. Even when you're 80 years
Absolutely.
old, you would like to tell your grandchildren that, like these are the experience. Like, look at the expressions on your face and my face when we are
Yes,
talking about our real experiences. Why this expression?
absolutely.
Because it makes us feel so proud that we've overcome our fears and we have fought through it and we won it. Like, that is the most
Absolutely.
important thing, and it stays for the rest of your life.
Right. And also to add on, it stays with the rest of your life, not only in the scenario of a racer, also in the scenario of being a human. So right, so when being a human, you are fearless, you take certain steps which not only helps you but also the society. So you come out in open, you try and share your experiences with people. You try and deal in every aspect of life, whether it is a relationship, whether it is your career, whether it is a goal or anything in life. because fear more or less surmounts you with almost every situation, and people are scared of fear. I mean, you as a champion, me there. For us, fear is our friend, because that is the only thing in life which saves your life. If there is no fear, you will go stand in the middle of the road and get crushed by a truck or a car.
Exactly.
If there is no fear, you will not analyze the depth of the mountain and you will take a flight, right? So fear gives you that essence of understanding what is there which you can overcome. So when you understand fear, you actually are dealing with your mind, making it more stronger to actually overcome all those situations.
Absolutely correct. That was a perfect bang on thingy. And let me tell all the viewers that we both are open for questions also. So please do not go anywhere, because your questions are also very important. We are very excited.
We have questions here.
Yeah,
we have question here for you. Rusty, you are an 8-time national champion. So in which year did you win the title?
Well, very good question. As you can see this blue trophy out there, I'm sure you can see it.
You can see lots of trophies there.
There are a lot of trophies there, but that one is my first national title. That was in the year 2000. So that was the time when I was a privateer rider. A privateer rider is a guy who takes money from his own parents, makes his own bike with his own hands, and struggles to fight with the factory boys who have factory machines, and 20 mechanics are for them. So the race was in Pune, and I had gone there, fighting with 5 factory boys. And I still remember I didn't get a very good start. I was 5th. Then from 5th, I came all the way to 2nd and almost did a photo finish with the first guy. So that's where Mr. Arvind Pangaonkar, the chief of Team TVS, came up to me and said, "Hey, Rustam, would you like to ride for Team TVS?" Who would be a fool to say?
True.
Come true for me. And then that's where I got a factory bike. And then there was no stopping, because when you're a factory rider, you keep you keep breaking things. The things are ready for you. Over here, if a privateer has broken a suspension, हेलो डैडी जरा 3,000 रुपया मिलेगा, सस्पेंशन टूट गया। डैडी की 2 गाली खाओ, फिर मैकेनिक के पास जाओ, खुद के हाथ से बनाओ। So there's a lot of difference between being a privateer and being a factory rider. So yeah, my first title was in 2000. Then from 2000 to 2007 there was no stopping, but in 2006 I got 2 national titles. 1 in motocross and 1 in dirt track. So that made it 7 in a row plus 1, 8 national titles. So these were the years, and 2007 was my last year where I was declared national champion in Bangalore. I went to Bangalore in their home city and came first in both the MRF races, national championships. And I declared my retirement, because I personally feel, and this is a big advice to every sports person, please understand, everything in life has got its own time and its own place.
Absolutely.
Please understand, you cannot remain a champion all your life. You know when to start. You should know when to quit.
When to stop.
I will give you 2 world examples. One, and both are my favorites. One is Michael Schumacher and one is Valentino Rossi. They are my gods of racing. What they have achieved in racing, I don't think anybody can achieve what Michael Schumacher and Valentino Rossi have achieved.
Absolutely.
But what has burnt my heart is they didn't know when to quit, at what time to quit. We were so used to looking at these guys only first. Then suddenly when you look at them in their older age, when they are touching their 30s and 35s and 40s maybe, and still racing with the younger generation, the whole point is we are not used to seeing a Michael Schumacher 14th and a Valentino Rossi 12th.
Yes, so, absolutely not.
2007, I had crossed my 30s and I knew that I have been there, proved myself, done that. became the champion of India, undisputed champion, took the mic, had tears in my eyes, and declared my retirement, as I knew it that now it's my time. I've been there, done that. And after that, I have still been in the sport as the Team India Ajmera head coach. Now I'm the official coach. I coach more than 120 students, out of which our best is Yuvraj Sandeep Konde Deshmukh. And by the way, we ride for Team Ajmera Racing India. So we have made India proud. Now thank you, sir. So now I'm the mentor of Team India. We make India proud everywhere we go. In fact, we were the first Indians to participate in the World MXGP that happened in Australia. Yes. So
I saw that. Yeah.
No Indian has ever participated in the MX. So when we went there to fill the entry form, and when that guy asked me what country, and I said India, there were 4 heads that were busy with their table. When they heard India, they all came up like this. What? I said, yes, India, India. So they were shocked to hear India participating in MXGP. That's like no Indian has ever dreamt of or done it. So we were the first Indians to do it. And when there were 47 countries participating, and out of which India flag was also there on the start gate with Yuvraj representing our team, we all had tears in our eyes, because that was the proudest moment ever for an Indian. You're a racer. You know how much it takes, how much effort it takes to reach the world level. For a guy coming from India, which country does not support so much for motorcycle racing in this country? Compared to Europeans and Americans, they have thousands of tracks. The government supports them. But coming from a background from India, where there's hardly any support, and reaching the world pinnacle is seriously a lot of hard work, a lot of money involved, a lot of dedication, rider fitness, and a lot of things. So yes, a very, very proud moment.
Oh, wonderful. Somebody wants to know your experience to Leh and Ladakh. You've been there twice.
Oh yeah, Leh Ladakh, as you were saying about the snow and all of that. So yeah, we all Parsi friends. I was the only one from India. All the other guys were from Australia and Dubai, but we all childhood friends. We grew up together. So they call me, by the way, Rusty. My friends call me Rusty. So they said, hey, Rusty, let's plan a road trip. Why don't you lead us to, a road trip where we can learn something from you? So I still remember it was a 15-day trip, and we had gone to Ladakh, and
you went through Manali?
Yeah. We started from Manali. Then from Manali, we hired the bikes. Then Manali bikes were apparently not allowed in Leh. So we had to park the bike on the border, then buy the other bikes from there, and all of that jig we had to do. Yeah. But the Khardungla Pass, it's awesome. There is no road. It is only Banjar. Like one mistake, you go over a boulder, you are gone.
and for you it is more difficult because you are riding a bike. I have done 3 trips to Leh Ladakh, but only on the car. So you are much safer with your helmets and roll cage and everything. But on a bike, man, it is actually remarkable.
But so what happened is that how much ever a guy can say कि अरे मैं height से डरता नहीं हूँ, but trust me, when you're in a motorbike, and if you look down while riding, I'm sure your pants are going to be wet looking at what height you have reached.
Absolutely. In the car, I used to feel panic looking like 30,000 down. I mean, and bike, I can really imagine how, what kind of a strength your mind needs. True. Did you had some punctures? Did you had engine failures, punctures, trouble in the machine on the way?
One engine failure of one guy out of the 6. So we had no option. We said, you park your bike there. And obviously me being the most experienced rider, I took him double seat. But honestly speaking, double seat is no fun, yaar. Double seat is no fun because I'm a rallyist. I like to stand up when I see bumpers. So I like to go, "Whoa!" So once I forgot that the guy is sitting behind me and I hit it hard. That guy started abusing me in my Parsi language. He's like, "Arey mere ko jiv to rahe, I don't want to die." I totally forgot that, like he's sitting right behind me. And yeah, it was really, really a great I think there's a big question for you, Mr. Eddie. Yeah, about driving a Beamer.
Driving Beamer in rally scene pictures. Yes, I was one crazy person who used to go out to these small races, because rallying is something which takes you a lot of time to go out for and practice, and almost a month goes into rallies like Great the Himalaya. So I used to do these small circuit races happening across India. So it happened to be a time in Gurgaon, I think 3-4 years back. I took like 6 cars, all my cars out from the garage. One was Beamer in that, and I won that race in that Beamer. And people were like really shocked, a person driving a Beamer on the road for a racing. I mean, you go to a track and do it, it is still fine, but driving a Beamer and a Pajero was something which was a good fun, and I won 3 trophies out there. It was wonderful experience. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So we have some more questions coming in for you. Thank you for saying undisputed champions. Okay. Anybody having any more questions? We are here live for another 10 odd minutes, 5 minutes.
We'll be waiting for your questions. You all can shoot out any questions you all want. Maybe you all can ask us about how to overcome your fear, or if you've ever come across something. We are here to help you, because the amount of fear that we guys have overcome in our lives is undisputed, especially rallying days.
Absolutely, absolutely. And over the last few years, I have also been into a different path of understanding mind, which is like controlling all your energies, emotions, and everything is happening from this small piece of computer we have. So I got into coaching. I became a mind coach around 5.5 years back, after my completion of racing and circuit, and racing become a business, and started teaching people how to race and getting them on tracks and doing events for 2-wheelers, 4-wheelers, I mean, whatever comes. So that was one part. Apart from that, I became a mind coach. A mind coach is a person who basically can actually work with the wiring of your brain, who can actually reprogram your thinking, who can give you a restart for your journeys. Many a times we all get stuck in life due to certain thoughts in our mind. Certain fears basically stops us from growing ahead. So me being a mind coach, I help people to basically overcome their hurdles, to overcome their fears. I make them sit, ask themselves questions in terms of what is stopping them. So mind coaching is what keeping me busy last few years now. Apart from mind coaching, I also became an NLP professional, which is neuro-linguistic programming. This is a science which is very, very widely accepted these days. And with the help of this science, you can actually work on your past traumas. You can overcome your past traumas. If something is bothering you, some defeat, some situation, some unpleasant moments of life, you can overcome that with neuro-linguistic programming. And also, I've been a motivational speaker from like a couple of years. This side, Rustam might not acknowledge very closely, because we've always met on tracks and racing and stuff like that. So just for a few viewers who joined and who did not knew me, for them. So that's a part of my journey now. So being a mind coach, it also becomes very imperative for me to share my experiences along with the acquired knowledge I have. Right. So I today would sum up this entire session of our coming up and being fearless in a manner that fear is our friend. I do not consider fear as my enemy. And the main idea of understanding fear is if somebody can use fear as a fuel to growth. Right. When I say fear as a fuel to growth, I mean if you can understand what is the fear is doing. Fear is basically pushing you. Fear is basically making you understand what is lacking in you. You know,
Correct.
it gives you that insight to overcome something. So when you use fear as a fuel to your growth, you see that a lot of things which you see earlier unachievable. There are a lot of situations where we just visualize and say, oh, it is not possible, chuck it, baba, let's do something else, this is too complex. That is basically only your mind, and you are provoking your mind to take the easiest step. You are telling your mind to escape this situation, get into the comfort zone, keep sitting on your couch having popcorns and keep watching your idiot box for n number of days, for n number of years. So that is again the choice your mind gets from you. So I would strongly recommend everybody who's seen this episode with me and Rusty to understand that how we overcome fear is by only acknowledging them. Right? When Rusty was young, he was 6, he acknowledged his fears, you know, when he was taking up flights and coming down. So he built up that strength on his mind. And once he overcome that fear physically, then he also worked psychologically on those fears by adding more knowledge, by adding learning experiences. So in a nutshell, any champion would overcome fears only when he understands them, only when he wants to cross that boundary and
Correct.
reach to that success.
Yes. Alina,
Anything you want to add on?
Alina has asked a very good question. Alina is a 9-year-old motocross queen of India. She's like my daughter. And Alina Mansoor Sheikh has asked a question. She just had a very, very bad fall while practicing, and she's broken a bone. So every week she calls me, and I try to make her understand that these falls, Alina beta, are only medals in life. They are medals in life. We all have broken bones, steel plates, everything, and that is what makes a real champion. So this is what I want to tell to Alina's question, is that Alina is like my daughter. She by the way came second with all the big girls in Kerala in a very big race. And she's known as the queen of motocross of India. And she's only 9 years of age, riding a KTM 65cc with a choti coming out of the helmet. That is so cute. So I think these little young stars that are there, and obviously I did it back in 1985 when there were no cell phones, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, nothing. So nowadays the kids are very, very lucky to get their social media platform, and at the same time the kids are very lucky to get latest technology machines, proper guards and everything. So my advice to everybody, and especially the young kids, is you start young. You start young. This is a sport where you start young. You cannot say कि हाँ हम हमारे बच्चे को 18 साल का होने देंगे, लाइसेंस आएगा, फिर वो रेसिंग करेगा. Over there in Europe, by the time he's 16, he's already 2 times world champion, and by the time he's 19, 20, he's retired. So the logic in India, people should understand that this is a very young sport. You're supposed to start young. Only then, because stamina, fitness and sharpness and fearless, it's all when you're young. Because when you break a bone, when you are young, your bone recovers faster. Once you cross your 40s and 30s, and if you break a bone, for it to recover, it takes a lot of time.
Your response system is also delayed by a few seconds. Today, when we compare young children at the age of 12, 15, their response system versus our response system is much way faster. So you are right in an aspect that in a very early age, if this passion can be actually honed and worked on, it can actually create champions of the world.
Definitely. Please read what Alina has written. Please read.
I just read. Since I am interested. Love you, Daddy. You are my great inspiration, and I shall follow your footsteps to overcome fear and bring fame to India. Wow. All the best, Alina. We really wish you a lot of luck and strength to overcome your injuries and to win titles for India. Don't worry. We are all there. It happens that, you know, these scars are basically, I call as medals to myself. So every scar which you are getting is your medal of your strength, your honor, your integrity, not only towards yourself, but also towards the country. So a big round of applause for you, Alina, that you are fighting to get better and fighting to bring back the title to India. Wonderful. We
Wonderful.
have a question from Ceci Christina. She is asking, how can we overcome fear of failure? Okay. So fear of failure. See, failure is the first step to be successful, right? Failure is the stepping stone to get success in life. So the more number of times you fail, the more chances gets closer to being successful. So if you have ever encountered failure in your life, I'm sure that failure might have given you push to stand again and compete as a champion. So do not fear the fall, do not fear the failure. The more you fail, I assure you, one day you will come out as a real champion in life, a real champion in whatever sports you are doing.
Definitely.
What do you say, Rusty?
It's a very good way you answered. Well, I would keep it in a little different way, a little tune up in a little different way. I would say, and I would suggest, a failure is the most important for a sportsman. A sportsman has to fail. Till he does not fail,
Absolutely.
he is never going to learn. He has to fail.
Never.
He has to feel miserable. He has to go through the hardships. He has to feel sad over it. He has to cry over it. That is the only way that is going to make him strong. If everything is going to be spoon-fed, lo beta, muh kholo, khalo, he is never going to be a true champion. He is going to be mama's boy. So mama's boys cannot be champions. A real champion is a hardcore machine guy who has gone through the thick and thin in life, who have seen the worst in the world, who has slept for three days outside on the platform of the train, waiting for his bike to come, and a lot of stuff, sleeping in the tempo for 18 hours, helmets falling on the face, going till Goa with bikes, fighting with the policeman. ये बाइक कहाँ लेके जा रहे हो? सर हम रेस में लेके जा रहे हैं. कौन सा रेस? पेपर दिखाओ, डॉक्यूमेंट दिखाओ. You know how it is. So
Absolutely, in India though.
They will harass you so much. You will show them your FMSCI license. You will tell them, sir, हम इंडिया के लिए चलाते हैं, ये racing license है. But they are not so literate enough to understand that racing is officially also done in India. But there is a reason for it. There's a reason is stupid people on the road who do the road racing. They are the ones who create the bad name for the real professionals.
Yes. Let me also add on here, Rusty. Since I am into motorsports events for a very long time, so there are people I find saying racing is illegal in India, rallying is not a sport. Let me just openly tell everybody, racing is not illegal in India. Racing is legal with few conditions in mind. You cannot race on a busy road, right? You have to be wearing all your gloves, starting from your helmet to all your gears, before you go into a competitive zone. You take permission and a license to create or do a race, right? So if you are following these 3-4 things which is assigned by the government of India, you will see racing is not illegal. But yes, at the same time, it is not a much favored sport till now, because people consider it as a nonsense, because of people like Rusty was telling, who do stunts on the road, who create nonsense on situations just to impress few people standing right there. So I would advise all those people to refrain themselves. If you really appreciate, or if you have a passion towards biking or car rallying or racing, come down, have formal training. Rusty is the coach who basically trains people to reach their dreams. So reach back to him, understand the dynamics of racing and rallying. If you really understand the sport, I think you're going to make a mark. It is all about your knowledge. Rusty, we are about to close the show. We have only 22 seconds left. So vote of thanks from your side and my side to everybody. Thank you everyone for being patient and watching the show. And we will catch you soon again with some more interesting insight to life. Thank you, Rusty.
Happy Guru
Thank you, everyone.
Purnima. Happy Guru Purnima.